of the tape for Bernard Hopkins against Joe Calzaghe. Hopkins at 43 years old, still near the top of the sport. George Foreman achieved that in his second career. Watch out for headbutts. In 2 of Hopkins' last 4 fights, the opponent wound up with a cut as the result of a butt. And Hopkins acknowledges that he spent a good deal of time studying tape of Calzaghe's fight with Sakio Bika a year and a half ago, in which a headbutt cut clearly bothered Calzaghe. He called it the worst cut of his career.
And to point out just what you said,
well, Calzaghe, when asked what he would do about Hopkins' supposedly demonstrated penchant, right goes Calzaghe down on a perfect right-hand shot by Hopkins. And Joe Calzaghe's been down before, but never in a big fight.
No, Hopkins moved in like he was going to move into a clinch and shot a short, direct, point-to-point right hand.
What an embarrassment to Calzaghe, and already an extra point on the scorecard for Hopkins.
You have 2 fighters who are probably the 2 best adjustable fighters in boxing today. Calzaghe proved that in his last fight with Kessler, where he came back and turned the fight around, and Bernard does the same thing. So you're going to see a lot of adjustment.
And there's a trickle of blood on the nose of Calzaghe, right on the bridge of the nose. Perhaps the product of the right hand that dumped him on his shorts. What a great start for Hopkins in round 1 against Joe Calzaghe.
But outside of the knockdown, you see Bernard moving in as if he's going to go into a clinch and shoot a perfect pinpoint short right hand. Couldn't have been any better than that. And the fact that Calzaghe wasn't even expecting that, because from that shorter distance, it would have made it had much more effect than if it had been a long-range punch.
And any chance Calzaghe had of standing up was eliminated when Hopkins continued to proceed forward, and with their shoulders engaged, managed to go ahead and finish the knockdown by putting Calzaghe onto his trunks. Total punches in round 1 by CompuBox count. Hopkins only threw 16. Landed 4, Calzaghe 7 out of 35. Again, those kinds of numbers reflect a Bernard Hopkins round.
Opponent.
Every time Calzaghe nears Hopkins, Bernard is reaching out and clutching him with the left arm.
Behind the head, what's behind the head?
Well, Mayweather had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, and I think so far it's Hopkins who's keeping Calzaghe from doing his thing. And Bernard landed. Calzaghe beginning to get a chance to let his hands go. It's still showing a lot of CompuBox numbers so far. Figure Calzaghe for having thrown 33 jabs and landed none. Obviously, if he's going to get that 2-fisted rhythm going, he's going to have to start landing his jab at some point.
Yeah, both guys are very difficult to land clean punches on. Both of them are very good defensive fighters.
And now Calzaghe goes with the lead.
He's been in Briscoe, and he's, who kept his head down, which avoided from getting hit, made opponents hurt their hands, but also he's landing very short, accurate punches. Calzaghe is busy, but his punches are more of a slap. Bernard's a
And that's saying something, because Calzaghe's always been able to impose his style on his opponent.
The crowd boos as Cortez warns Calzaghe. Body shots by Calzaghe. Hopkins drives him away with a counter right. Both fall to kind of joint chiefs of staff arrangement. Trainer Mackie Shillstone, John David Jackson to talk about southpaw defense. Nassim Richardson, who's been an assistant.
I want just like you said, threat like that. But Jim, I got to tell you, Bernard's got Joe Calzaghe
from the United States a couple of years ago. Hopkins fighting off the ropes with his counter-punching accuracy.
Request you to do, you don't have to do it mandatorily. When you come to the arena, I think they said Calzaghe weighed 181 tonight.
In the ear, and that's when Cortez pulled them together and had a discussion with them, saying he didn't want any roughhousing tactics. CompuBox numbers in the 4th round. Hopkins 7 of 29, Calzaghe 14 out of 51. So the numbers are beginning to favor Calzaghe in every round. But as Max Kellerman points out, the numbers don't necessarily reflect who lands the cleaner, more identifiable shots.
Doing his thing. I'm surprised when he does that, Hopkins doesn't punch.
Don't hold the head down, man. Let's go.
Avoiding it inside.
But you know, Jim, as you said, the more identifiable punches, whenever I see sweat flying, it's generally...
Hopkins there. Earlier, Calzaghe landed a good straight left hand to the body and the left upstairs. Calzaghe getting in more punches and a good left hand that clocks Hopkins before the 11 out of 32. In other words, virtually even.
And Calzaghe gave his fans something to sing about that round, apparently, Jim.
Or maybe they just wanted to sing. It's become a
one punch and then smother you right away after that. So it can be a very rough fight to score. Left uppercut when Bernard goes forward because Bernard runs in with his head down every time.
hard right hand body shot by Hopkins amid a flurry by Calzaghe.
Did earlier. Although there caught Calzaghe.
Good left hand.
Competitive, he would could easily by moving and boxing in and out a little bit. He could fight a much smarter fight.
Now Calzaghe starts to get the kind of spirited combat he wants. Cortez throws Calzaghe to the floor, pulling him off. Averages through the 6th round. Hopkins averages 8 lands in 31 punches. Calzaghe averages 15 lands in 53 punches. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, the last 3 rounds, I thought Joe Calzaghe's aggressiveness and clean punching, he just won them all. Anyway, 4 rounds to 2, 57, 56, Joe Calzaghe. Now, there's only a 1-point difference because Hopkins has that extra point.
Going another knockdown.
Well, I think it's also possible that the 3rd round, which Harold Letterman gave to Hopkins, could conceivably have gone to Calzaghe, who was by far
incredible athlete.
Amazing man.
Well, he spent 17 years fighting in the 160-pound weight class. And Emmanuel Stewart, you began to observe toward the end of his middleweight, best way to make Bernard Hopkins fight offensively is to go hit him, as Calzaghe is doing.
That's what I was saying right there. Calzaghe almost was knocked down. Here you see Calzaghe come in throwing his typical punches, really no power, more of an amateur-type slapping punches, but they get points, and also leaving himself open for Bernard's punches. Bernard caught it with a short right hand right there.
Max, power shots in round 7. Calzaghe landing 20 of 45, 10 in the last minute of the round. But Hopkins landed 12 of 32, and perhaps because of that hard right hand toward the end, Letterman gives the round to Hopkins, which evens the fight on his scorecard. Segundo Mojado.
It's back, but he's back to Antoine Elkins. I thought was his last really aggressive fight. Even when he beat Trinidad and Oscar, he patiently waited his time. He lost the early part of the fights then. He's always been patient since then.
Another 4-punch rally by Calzaghe, punctuated by a right-hand counterpunch from Hopkins. That shows you how quick Bernard can still be from Calzaghe. Hopkins lands his right. Calzaghe constantly trying to apply pressure, trying to speed the tempo of the fight, trying to make the 43-year-old man fight, but opting for accuracy, and it's beginning to pay off.
They said he's very, very adaptable at changing and adjusting to do whatever he has to do to win a fight.
CompuBox numbers in 8, Hopkins 15 out of 38, Calzaghe 22 out of 65, including 7 out of 28 jabs. That's the best Calzaghe has done with his jab in the entire fight. We're into the 9th round.
But he still ought to be good straight left.
Good straight left hand by Calzaghe. Right.
That improvisational ability is what we're seeing here.
Hard right hand for Hopkins, but Joe was rolling with the punch.
And he's coming right back and not letting Bernard really take the play. He's still setting the tempo. And Bernard is having a time, trying to time and figure his rhythm out.
And the punches that are making the sweat fly.
Hold on here, Calzaghe.
Another straight left hand for Hopkins.
Coming from.
Well, Max Kellerman talked about Calzaghe's improvisational quality. More and more as the fight has gone on, he has found answers for the riddle of Bernard Hopkins. CompuBox numbers in 9, Calzaghe 25 out of 61. He earned an Academy Award for a movie that takes place in April. Straight right hand by Hopkins. Suddenly the fight looks like it did in round 1. Joe Cortez there explicitly stating, I'm not trying to take any points.
Stop right there.
And Hopkins gets 10 seconds. And both guys let their hands go, but neither lands anything. The largest number of punches ever landed against Bernard Hopkins in a prize fight. Roy Jones landed 206 blows by CompuBox count back in 1993. Coming to this round, Joe Calzaghe has landed 189 punches already on Bernard Hopkins. In all likelihood, it's going to finish the fight having landed
faster, higher volume of punches, would outwork Bernard and win a close decision.
The third is a judge from Illinois, whose record is not all that intelligible to us. Don't know that much about it.
Michael Spinks, preparing him to win the title from Larry Holmes, was Roy Jones, moving way up to heavyweight, where he looked very good and natural.
That time, there'll be no penalty. Cortez says go right ahead and fight.
But might there be retaliation?
Hopkins trying to retaliate with his big right hand. If they want to trade, Calzaghe will land more. It's as simple as that.
Calzage's rhythm and timing is just too much for Bernard.
Round 12 begins. Freddie Roach urging Hopkins to finish strong. Enzo Calzaghe with a flurry of F-bombs for his son.
You know, but in the corners, Hopkins' corner feels he's ahead, and Calzaghe's corner seems to feel Calzaghe's behind, saying that he needs a knockout.
I heard Leon Tabbs tell Bernard Critter that he's winning the fight.
Yep.
Which was surprising.
Well, again, those early swing rounds, depending on whose favor they go in, might determine the fight.
Good left hand by Calzaghe. Hopkins comes back with his arms windmilling.
And speaking of swing rounds, here we are in the final one, and they're both fighting hard.
As I always say, the Nevada judges consistently like guys who force a fight, push action.
It certainly looked in the first few rounds as though it was more than possible. But then Calzaghe, as does the fact that no point was ever deducted for the 2 times that the fight was stopped because of low blows by Calzaghe. And incidentally, the seconds tick away. And they fight past the bell.
From Newbridge, Wales, still undefeated, and now recognized by Ring Magazine as the new linear light heavyweight champion of the world,